American tourists in Europe don't just break minor rules. They crash into a 1,000-year-old cultural operating system and assume it's the code that's buggy. This isn't about simple etiquette. It's a live, unwitting stress test of a continent's social contract. A collision of two fundamentally different philosophies of daily life. I've spent years mapping this invisible war, from Parisian bistros to Viennese cafes, and the patterns are unmistakable. It begins with a core belief Americans carry like a passport, that the individual's preference is the supreme law in the United States. You are the undisputed CEO of every transaction. You customize, you substitute, you optimize. The system is built to bend, to accommodate your specific desires, turning a simple order into a personal manifesto. This is the legacy of a vast, diverse nation built on mass production and personal freedom dining democracy, where the customer's will is the final edit, now. Cross the Atlantic in a centuries-old Parisian bistro. The menu is not a schematic for your personal assembly. It is the chef's curated statement for the evening, a single, elegant card reflecting the market, the season, and a lineage of culinary tradition. When a couple from Dallas receives it, they wait for the rest. "This is lovely," the wife says. "Now can we see the full menu?" The waiter, a man whose life has been spent in the shadow of the Tour d'Argent, blinks. "Madame, this is it." The husband intervenes. "Right. But where's the section for substitutions?" The waiter's smile doesn't falter, but his eyes harden slightly. "Monsieur, the chef has already created it." What follows is a surreal negotiation. They attempt to deconstruct canard à l'orange can, the duck bee chicken. Can the orange sauce be a peppercorn demi-glace? Can the pommes puree be frite? Each request is met with a polite, implacable nod. It's their final, frustrated salvo. "But we're paying customers." Meets the foundational European retort. Spoken or unspoken, you are paying for what is written, not for what is in your imagination. They eat the duck in a state of mild grievance, feeling cheated of a basic consumer right. They have mistaken a chef's vision for a lack of options. This is the first front in the invisible war, the document Americans see as a friendly suggestion, but Europeans treat as a binding contract. The American menu is an engineering diagram, a list of components awaiting your personal assembly. The European menu is a manifesto. It's not about being difficult. It's about preserving a curated experience from the chaos of infinite choice. Is this just about stubbornness? Or is it a deeper logic governing how each society views creativity, commerce, and the role of the expert? The clash deepens the moment you try to order a drink, beginning with the most elemental substance, water. In America, tap water at a restaurant table is as unquestioned as air. It's a public utility, a free baseline, a human right rendered in liquid form. It arrives unbidden, iced, and refilled by an invisible hand. In Madrid, an American woman asks for "just tap water, please." The waiter's response is a polite binary: con gas o sin gas, still or sparkling. She clarifies, from the tap, the sink. He shakes his head gently. "We do not serve that. We have bottled water." She hears extortion. She draws a breath, preparing to deliver a miniature UN declaration on hydration equity. "Water," she says slowly, pedagogically, "should be free." The waiter, who has navigated this strait 100 times, nods. "The air is free, madam. The water is €2. He is not selling H2O. He is selling the service of guaranteed, palatable, often locally sourced bottled water in a region where the plumbing might be ancient. And the taste of chlorine, a variable legacy of history. She sees a scam. He sees standard practice born of a different relationship with infrastructure and trust. The meal proceeds under a cloud. The bottle is emptied, yet on principle she insists she didn't drink it because she was so offended. The waiter, with the quiet fatalism of a philosopher, adds it to the bill anyway. The empty bottle becomes a trophy in a war of conflicting fundamental truths about what you are actually purchasing, a substance or a guarantee. Then there is coffee, not a drink, but a creed. In an espresso bar in Florence, a man from Seattle requests a grande iced latte. Skim with 2 pumps of vanilla. The barista, a custodian of a caffeinated religion that predates his nation, processes this as syntactic noise. We do not have this, he states. The American, using flawless inductive logic, points, you have espresso. You have milk. You have a refrigerator with ice. Therefore, you can make an iced latte. The barista stands firm. That is not how we make coffee here. The customer's desire is irrelevant to the liturgy. A 5-minute debate ensues on global standards and customer-centric service. Defeated, the barista produces a tragic compromise. A lukewarm espresso drowned in cold milk with 3 forlorn ice cubes. The man sips. This tastes nothing like Starbucks. The barista's slight, weary nod is the entire response. Exactly, this isn't about being difficult. It's the sound of a personalized consumption model crashing into a wall of protected tradition. The American sees components and a request for assembly. The European sees a sacred script where deviation isn't customization. It's a corruption of form. One values the freedom of the consumer to create. The other values the integrity of the craft as passed down. Both believe they are defending something sacred. This friction extends beyond the plate and cup to time itself. American culture is engineered for velocity. Time is a scarce commodity to be saved, optimized, and monetized. Dining is often a task nestled efficiently between other tasks. Service, therefore, is a performance of seamless efficiency. Constant drink refills. Preemptive check-ins, the bill presented almost before the last bite is swallowed. It's a dance of frictionless transaction. European dining, particularly in the South, operates on a different axis. Time is not an adversary to be conquered, but a medium to be savored. The meal is the main event, not an intermission. The waiter is not a hustling concierge of your needs, but a guardian of the experience's inherent rhythm. This profound difference manifests in the most universally agonizing moment for an American abroad, the quest for the check. The scene, a cliffside restaurant in Nice. A couple finishes their dessert. They are satiated, happy, and ready to move on to their next planned activity. They set their forks down in the universal signal of "we are done." And then they wait. Their waiter is across the room discussing the local rows with another table. He is not ignoring them. He is respecting the sacred postprandial pause. To him, approaching with the bill the moment the plates are clean is the height of rudeness. It screams, "Get out." 5 minutes pass. The American couple begins fidgeting. They make pointed eye contact with the waiter. He smiles and nods warmly, but does not move. 8 minutes. The husband starts miming a scribble in the air. Finally, after 10 full minutes, the waiter glides over. "Is everything to your satisfaction?" "Yes, it was great." "Can we get the check, please?" The waiter looks mildly surprised. "But of course. You are in no rush, I hope." He leaves to prepare the bill. Slowly, to the Americans, this feels like incompetence or passive aggression. They interpret the pause as wasted time, a failure of the service contract. To the waiter, their palpable haste feels graceless, a refusal to luxuriate in the experience they just paid for. He offered them a slice of the local tempo, the luxury of unhurried conclusion, and they rejected it as inefficiency. Both parties leave feeling the other was deeply inconsiderate. One side values the efficient conclusion of a transaction. The other values the respectful pacing of a ritual. Why can't a system designed for convenience just be convenient everywhere? Because in Europe, Many of the rules that cause friction are not arbitrary whims, but non-negotiable codes. They are rooted in deep-seated agreements about safety, craft, and social responsibility. Enter a traditional Gasthaus in Vienna. A man orders the house burger. Medium rare, please. The waiter responds without hesitation. I am sorry, sir. In Austria, by law, minced meat must be cooked through thoroughly. It will be well done. The customer's brow furrows. I understand, but I prefer it medium rare. That's how I always have it. The waiter is unyielding. It is the law. The customer, feeling his agency stripped, requests the chef. The chef, a man with forearms like cured hams, emerges. He repeats the law. But my preference, the American insists, invoking the sacred right of choice that has served him so well at home. The chef delivers the perfect, deadpan rebuttal, and my preference is not to poison my guests. The man eats his well-done burger in a state of profound grievance. He has not encountered bad service or poor quality. He has encountered a system where his individual preference is deliberately subordinate to a collective safety standard. He interprets this as tyranny, not prudence. He came for a customized meal and found himself inside a regulatory framework. The American mantra, "You can have it your way," meets the European principle we have agreed, for the good of all, that you cannot. The architecture of the meal itself fits very pacing and social DNA. It creates another layer of profound misunderstanding. Dining in many European cultures is a scripted social ritual, not merely a caloric intake event. In Barcelona, a couple sits at a bustling tapas bar. They order with American decisiveness. We'll have 4 orders of patatas bravas, 4 of croquetas, 2 of gambas, al-az, lo. The waiter interrupts gently. Are more friends joining you? No, just us. We're hungry. He tries to explain. Tapas are to share, to try many small things, to order as you go, with drinks. It is a conversation with the kitchen. They wave him off. We don't really share food. And can you bring it all out at once? We're in a bit of a hurry. The waiter's soul sighs. He has been asked to turn a flowing, conversational, shared experience into a solitary, simultaneous fuel dump. The table becomes a chaotic landing zone of small plates, overwhelming and ironically isolating. They are soon annoyed. Why is everything so small? They complain, missing the entire point. The smallness is the feature. It enables variety, conversation, and prolonged social engagement. They wanted a meal. They were offered a movable feast and tried to nail it to the table. They leave complaining the restaurant tricked them into ordering too much, a perfect inversion of the intended experience. They saw a menu of snacks. They were invited into a rhythm of community and discovery. This clash over the very concept of enough reveals perhaps the deepest economic and philosophical divide. The American relationship with food is often quantitative. Value is measured in physical abundance, in the heft of the portion, in the glorious, practical promise of leftovers a second, free meal encoded within the price of the first. It's the economics of plenty, born of a history of agricultural bounty and supermarket aisles that stretch to the horizon. Now, observe a restaurant in Copenhagen, where the new Nordic philosophy emphasizes purity, seasonality, and precise satisfaction. A beautifully arranged piece of pan-seared cod with foraged herbs and a single drizzle of emulsion arrives. It is a masterpiece of culinary minimalism, a plate where every element speaks. The diner from Ohio enjoys it immensely but is physically full halfway through. She smiles at the waiter. Could I get a box for this, please? The waiter's polite smile doesn't shift, but a micro-expression of confusion flashes. A box. Yes, to take the rest home. He pauses, genuinely needing to reconfigure his understanding of the request. We do not offer boxes for takeaway, madam. Her smile falters. But I paid for it. Yes, he agrees, calmly. And you have eaten what you wished. The portion was designed to be complete here at the table. She is aghast. To her, this is environmentally wasteful and financially irrational. She paid for 300 grams of fish. She wants all 300 grams, even if it takes 2 sittings. To him, the request is an indictment. It suggests the kitchen profoundly miscalculated, either serving too much or, worse, creating a dish that doesn't compel you to finish it now at the absolute peak of its creation. The idea of a doggy bag is alien. It transforms an ephemeral work of art into mere fuel to be refrigerated and microwaved. She may eventually leave with leftovers wrapped in foil begged from the kitchen, feeling virtuous and thrifty. He watches her go, silently mourning the fate of his chef's carefully crafted emulsion, now destined for a plastic container. This is a clash between food as fuel and food as moment. This temporal and experiential dissonance even governs operating hours, leading to moments of utter bewilderment. In a 24/7 American city, a restaurant's closing time is often soft, a guideline. If you walk in at 9:55 for a 10 p.m. close, you might get a sympathetic sigh, but you'll likely be fed. The machine is built to serve until the last possible moment. In Brussels, an American businessman finishes a late meeting. It's 9:55 p.m. He finds a charming brasserie, its lights still on, laughter spilling onto the street. He enters and asks for a table. The host greets him warmly, then delivers the news. "I am sorry, monsieur. The kitchen has just closed." The man is incredulous. "But it's not even 10. I just want a steak frite." The host offers genuine sympathy. The chefs have finished their service. They have gone home. What follows is a negotiation that feels like it's happening in different metaphysical languages. The man invokes market logic. "You're still open. I'm a customer. I'm willing to pay." The host invokes human logic. The people who cook the food have left. We are not machines. The American offers compromises. Just a simple omelet. A salad. The host, who cannot materialize a chef from the ether, can only offer bread and perhaps some cheese from the bar. The man leaves, frustrated, and later writes a scathing review about inflexible European service. He has encountered a system where labor is not an infinitely flexible resource. And a restaurant is a workshop of people with fixed hours, not a service vending machine with an endless supply. He saw a business that was open. He found a social institution that had concluded its daily chapter. Underpinning all these specific clashes is a deeper psychological divergence in the very purpose of the restaurant visit. At its heart, the American restaurant model is a high-touch service transaction. The customer is the sun. The entire staff orbits around them, anticipating needs, validating choices, and facilitating a smooth, efficient consumption event. The goal is satisfaction defined as getting exactly what I wanted, quickly, abundantly, and with my autonomy affirmed at every turn. Tipping a complex, performance-based gratuity system is the financial engine of this attentive theater, directly linking service intensity to compensation. The classic European model is fundamentally closer to a craft ritual or a hosted experience. The customer is a guest entering the chef's or the tradition's domain. The goal is not to execute your personal vision, but to experience something curated, the authentic taste of a region, the demonstrated skill of a master, the timeless rhythm of a local custom. The waiter is your guide to this domain, not your servant. Their respect is shown through professional distance, deep expertise, and a stewardship of the ambiance, not through constant interruptive affirmation. The price on the menu includes this experience and a living wage. A small tip is a token of extra appreciation for exceptional guidance, not a negotiated fee for basic attention. When these two models collide on the ground, Each side systematically misinterprets the other's signals. American proactive warmth and check-ins are seen as European coldness or inattentiveness. European respectful distance and trust in the guest to signal needs are seen as American neglect or poor service. The American, expecting a chorus of validation, hears silence and feels ignored. The European, expecting a guest to engage with the offering, hears a series of demands and feels disrespected. So, is there a way to navigate this invisible war without surrendering your own preferences? The solution isn't for Europeans to install soda fountains or for Americans to suddenly stop liking ice. It's about a fundamental shift in travel mindset. When you are in Europe, consider that you are not merely a consumer hiring a service, but a guest being offered an experience and invitation to step into a different rhythm and logic. See the menu not as a build sheet from a workshop, but as a tour guide from a curator. Let the chef guide you. Order the thing you don't recognize. Understand that good service in this context often means competence. Deep knowledge and respectful space, not relentless affirmation and anticipation. Your waiter is not ignoring you. They are trusting you to signal when you need them, respecting your conversation and your engagement with the meal. View time spent at the table not as dead downtime between activities, but as the core activity itself. The pause, the space between courses, the post-meal linger, these are not inefficiencies. They are integral parts of the meal's architecture designed for digestion, conversation, and absorption. Except that rules around food safety, preparation methods, and even operating hours are rarely about personal obstinacy. They are usually fragments of a deep, often ancient, cultural logic about collective well-being, the rights of workers, the integrity of a craft, or the sustainability of a practice. This conscious shift isn't about surrendering your preferences or pretending to be someone you're not. It's about gaining access to a richer, more authentic experience. The profound joy of a European meal often lies precisely in the surrender to the rhythm, to the tradition, to the quiet expertise of the place you're in. When you stop fighting the operating system and instead try to understand its language, you might just discover that the fixed menu contains a revelation you'd never have chosen for yourself. You might find that the small, intense espresso after dinner really does aid digestion in a way a giant mug of drip coffee does not. You might realize that sitting for 20 minutes with no agenda after eating, watching the world pass by, is a rare and beautiful form of luxury that your busy life back home never permits. The empty water bottle, the well-done burger, the denied doggy bag, these aren't insults. They are data points. They are messages from a different cultural operating system, one that prioritizes collective standards over individual customization, craft integrity over personal assembly, and experiential depth over transactional speed. The system isn't broken. It's just running a different, much older program. If this deep dive into the unspoken rules and hidden logic of the European table has made your past travels suddenly make new sense, or has you looking at your next trip with a more curious and prepared eye, then you understand the mission of Winds of Thought. We exist to map the invisible geography of human culture, to decode the silent languages that govern our interactions and misunderstandings. We provide the key to the cultural operating systems you never knew you were using. If you value these insights and want to navigate your world and your travels with more understanding and less friction, please support the channel by liking this video. That simple click is the single most powerful way to help us continue this work of cultural translation. Subscribe and hit the bell icon, because next week we're decoding the silent, nuanced language of Scandinavian social interaction, where the rules are even more invisible and the harmony even more profound. Thanks for watching. And remember, when in Rome, don't ask for a to-go box for the carbonara. Just savor it. The art is in the moment, not the leftovers.